Our standalone top 10 segment this week is Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's first year in office. There's much that we'll touch on next week that has arisen from her work, both on policies that originated from her office and in how she's worked with that legislature. We talked a lot last year about the blue wave. Steve, I got to ask you right off the... Oh, actually, I'm going to go to Andy on this. My fault. Andy, right off the top, what's been the impact of the blue wave? The governor was very strong with this with her first State of the State address. Moonshots left and right, all kinds of different things. How's this played out?
I don't know that that we can really tell right away. I do think it may have had something to do with her approval rating right now in the state. I think that there's a lot of people that are not real happy with the, quote, blue wave, and they're just kind of not happy with the governor. That's
fair to bring in, where the polling is right now. She's been pretty steady where she's been at right off the bat. Not exactly cracking into the blue sky, but is this sense that, you know, too much too soon for some people? Too much to choke down?
Yeah, I think it could be. We talked earlier about red flag laws, and that came out real quick.
Yeah.
And there's pending lawsuits with that, both kind of in Albuquerque and statewide. And so, yeah, I think some of those things where the promises that she made that maybe the Republicans were not too hot on, and she just moved right through it in her first term. And so I think that caused a little...
That's right. Got to give the opportunity to talk about those sheriffs right now. And he's brought that up. And, you know, that's indicative, though, of when you get in office, the opposition appears.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? And so
true.
The sheriffs kind of checked her up a little bit, didn't they? That was interesting.
Well, I think part of their stance is we want to do things not in moderation, but smart.
Right.
So are we looking at some of the things that she's talking about, you know, enforceability? Is this something that we can actually move forward with? But just generally, when you take into consideration how hard of a line they drew with these types of things, I think that you might see that same response in a few of the other items that she's brought to the table when we're talking about spending the surplus of the state of New Mexico, most of which is generated in southeast New Mexico. You hear some really loud voices on that as well.
That's right. You know, I say again, I'm joking, but it's true in politics. The enemy appears once you get in office, and the shape of it's just, you know. But now we've got Cowboys for Trump as well. That the governor has to deal with. And you know, how's she doing with this? I'm off the blue wave just a little bit here, but I'm curious, how is she doing with the opposition, so to speak, that has appeared in front of her? How's she handling all of this?
Well, of course, the sheriffs and the Cowboys for Trump, a lot of overlap there. But, I think she's doing okay. I don't know if she's going to win too many of those folks over, but it's not surprising that she, you know, after 8 years of Susana Martinez, who you know, vetoed a lot of stuff. And here she comes in with more Democrats in the legislature than there have been in a while. And I remember making a prediction and usually my predictions are wrong, but this one turned out to be right. Back when Susana was governor, and I think it's about the time she vetoed the hemp bills and all those other things that later got overturned in court. But I thought, you know, when there's a Democrat in there next year, and this is pretty obvious it probably would be, and I said the floodgates are going to open. And so, yeah, for a lot of people, you know, conservative folks, I think it was a lot, you know, oh my God, gun control and spending all this money on education, and you know, so
you know,
it's natural, but I think she's handled it okay. Her ratings aren't as high as some other governors, but it's higher than Susana was when she left office, and higher than Bill Richardson was. Of course, in New Mexico, we elect somebody and they get reelected by a landslide, and then by the end of their second term, they're, you know,
we don't want to know their name, right? Exactly. It's kind of a tradition, right? It's very interesting how that works. You know, Gwyneth, interesting. I kind of flashed a point at you a second ago while Steve was talking, because it just kind of hit me that, you know, the things that you've dealt with, the things that you've watched up in the legislature, how is your sense from a person-to-person aspect? She's very warm with people. She's very persuasive. She has a way. She's a politician. She has a way. But sometimes that doesn't necessarily always work once you get in office. So I ask again, it's different from campaigning. How's she doing when it comes to taking in the entirety of New Mexico, the entire rainbow?
Well, I think, you know, if you look back at Governor Martinez, she couldn't be more different in that she has this extremely long history of working with the legislature, with the cabinet secretaries, as a cabinet secretary, in county government. You know, she has been working in government her entire life. So I think she has And she's charming. She has a good rapport, like Martinez did, but she has a good rapport with people on all of those levels. More importantly, she knows the mechanics of exactly how they work. And I think that, you know, it might not work out in the end, but I think it's a really good benefit to her that unlike Martinez, and, you know, to a certain extent, Richardson had a lot more experience in Washington than he ever did in New Mexico. He was elected 2 years after he moved here to Congress. I mean, what had he ever done? Gone to a city council meeting before he became governor? So, you know, I think she's much better prepared to do it if anyone can.
Andy, let's talk about a couple of the bumps she's had going down the road here of 2019. I'll start with how she handled the Karen Trujillo departure. How did she do with that? That was an interesting little thing that she had to manage early on.
Look, I think sometimes female governors probably get a little short end of the stick on this sort of thing, where she clearly was not happy with what was happening, and a lot of us don't know really what the back and forth was. We have two sides of the story. And as soon as it happened, it sort of like the narrative came out was she's a micromanager and she knows what she wants and she goes to get it. But I think.
But if it were a man, he would have been decisive and strong.
I think if Bill Richardson did the same thing, they probably would have said, "Oh, he's really committed to the job."
Right.
You know?
That's right. It's very true. Jessica, another bump in the road. Well, maybe not a bump, but a follow-up to the bump I just mentioned was Ryan Stewart coming in, certainly, as a hire. And the hire came fairly quickly. And it really, you know, he seems like he's on top of it and things are happening. But how
that's the hope.
That's the hope anyway, as they say. But how did she, from your view, how did she handle that switch?
You know, you always have to be very careful when you are making decisions and moving in a direction opposite of what you stated in the first run. When you take somebody and you put them into a position and you give them a goal, we're always going to be watching for those measured steps, right? What are you striding towards? How far have you gotten along? Is this actually going to keep us on the track that you promised in the first place? So when we talk about how did she handle it, I think, you know, and I'm with you on she got a lot of flack for some of the decisions made in the background. But, you know, when you say here is our new path forward and you're pretty strong in that statement, then it's well received.
Now, another bump, but some good stuff. NBC Universal's come in under her watch, and I add that in only to say we now know that economic development is very important as a toolkit for a governor. Governor Richardson kind of kicked us off with that you got to be able to churn business and make things happen. Is she starting to show some chops that way? That's a big deal, this NBC Universal thing.
Yeah, sometimes I think governors get credit and blame for stuff that's you know, had probably been in the works for a while.
Right, exactly.
And so, you know, but yes, it's good that she's encouraging it. Whereas when Susana Martinez started out, she was talking about rich Hollywood producers and where I'm not going to take the money out of the mouths of school children and you know, and that type of thing. She later came around fairly quickly, actually. Yeah, she's riding that well, and I hope there's some more stuff in the works.
Speaking of economic development, Gwyneth, she has had an interesting relationship with the oil and gas business. On one side, saying I'm going to be very blunt here, need to clean up our act, but at the same time, thank you very much for the money that's coming in, even more than we could have possibly hoped for when I first got this office. How's she doing with that balance?
With that Scylla and Charybdis?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I think it is a tough one. I think she is very clear-eyed on how much we need that money and how much oil and gas needs to continue in one way or another until we come up with another way to run the entire state budget.
Right.
And I think, but she also has, you know, pretty good cred on the environmental side. It's the same challenge that every governor inherits, whether they are super pro oil and gas or not. They have to navigate those treacherous waters.
Yeah, it's true. No fracking ban? That was a promise.
That was a promise. Was fought pretty hard.
Yeah.
You know, we had the governor come to Carlsbad and sit down with us for a while, and if you can take her at her word during that conversation, I think clear-eyed is a great way to describe it. She understands what oil and gas does for the economy here, but and I know we're going to talk about Energy Transition Act at some point too, but when you look at a path forward in diversifying our economy, long run, answering that question of how do you balance good and bad with those industries. Yeah.
She's going to have some challenges working with Republicans, certainly. Settlements with risk management's coming up. We've got PRC dismantling. She's going to have to manage that. It's going to be an interesting 2020 for the governor, no doubt. That's going to do it for us this week. We have 5 more topics to go next time around with this group. We'll see you then.